Quick Dork back again, and I'm coming at you live as always, my friends, from my Data Cathedral studios here in bright and sunny Gainesville, Georgia. Today we're looking at episode 35. Can you believe it? 35 Dork Casts. Today we're going to be talking about big changes. And I'm not talking about the changes in my career like I just did recently with Harold Rohn for Breakthrough Moments podcast, which you feel free to screenshot this, take that number, and you can watch at your leisure. As I talked about the major changes in my career, like when I became the click dork. So if you ever wondered how I became the click dork and the changes to my life after becoming the click dork, be sure and catch that. What I'm going to do today is talk about the changes for this guy. My friend Thomas Gorr was on episode 25, 10 Dork Casts ago, and we called that one the right way. We were talking about a right back solution that he had built called Fiplana. Well, today, the big change in Thomas's life was that his company was acquired by Insight Software. So here's Thomas's information. I know y'all are multitaskers. Feel free to screenshot this, go out and make sure you connect with Thomas, and you've got his email where you can write to him for more information. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Thomas, welcome aboard today, my friend.
Hey Dalton, hey, how are you doing? Thank you for having me again.
Oh, man, it's a pleasure. It's always great talking to you. So that had to be a big change, man. Last time we talked, you were probably up at 4 or 5 a.m. working on your software, building everything, talking to customers, working on documentation, doing support, the whole 9 yards all by yourself. And then suddenly you got acquired by Insight Software. How'd that come about?
Yeah, it was a really great year. Of course, it was a real rush, right? So a lot of momentum that we took in there. Originally, so we just did a webinar with Bark where we talked about planning and click, and then suddenly I had this mail in my Outlook where I said, "Hey, great presentation, Thomas. Are you open for a conversation?" Right? So, and this is,
You're like,
yes,
another
I am
sale.
open for a
Yeah.
conversation. Come on. Yeah. And of course, then you start with all these talks and the entire M&A process. And Insight Software is focusing on delivering solutions to the office of the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer, right? So, and
Okay.
Fiplana offers financial planning and analytics. So this was a big match, and we continued discussions, and now we are finally part of Insight Software here.
Nice. Now, did you even know who Insight Software was when they reached out to you?
We have heard them a couple of times at different customers because they have a huge portfolio. They deliver solutions in every single direction, whatever you need in the office of the CFO, some financial consolidation, some data pipeline tools, or text consolidation, for example. And also they acquired before some German companies like IDL or Cubeware. And of course, you see those companies at during your click projects, implementing dashboards for those data, right?
Okay.
So yeah, we heard something about them before already. And recently, of course, then 1 year before of us, I think it was, they acquired Power On, which is also right back, but also planning for Power BI. And
Okay.
a few months before they started talking with us, they acquired Vizlib, right? So back in
Vizlib.
the
That's
days,
how people would know who Insight Software is.
yeah, exactly. That is what you're asking for. So back in the days, our biggest competitor, and now finally one family here at Inside Software.
Nice. That is awesome. And so what is your role with now with Insight Software?
Yeah, so since I joined Inside Software by the acquisition of Fiplana, my role is now Director of Product Management for BI Solutions. So I'm focusing on our overall BI strategy and driving the entire idea of planning in BI, right? So especially I have Wizlib, Fiplana, right, and also what we are talking about today, Fiplana PRO, in my portfolio. I am responsible for the entire roadmap, for the strategy. So if you're interested in planning right back and click, I am your man.
Wow. Dude, I would think you'd be like, I sold my company. Now I feel like working 1 or 2 hours a day instead of being up at four. Now you have even more responsibility. That is a
Yeah,
huge change.
would
Now,
be
how
great,
much of
wouldn't it?
your role has changed from being technical to being more creative or thought leadership and trying to figure out how do I make all of these pieces work together?
Right. So this is definitely a big shift, and I still appreciate building click applications. So that's being said first, right? But of course, now you have to take a look. So what kind of capabilities do we have? What kind of competitions do we have? What's our overall strategy in the company? And how do we match with our products into this strategy? How do we fit in there? Then you have to build a strategy and think in all different facets.
Hmm.
So, what's our go-to-market message? What is our offering? And on the other hand, you have to translate this and at the end of the line into engineering tasks. What do we need to to implement this into our solutions to match our offering? You have to talk to marketing, to sales, to enable all those people so they are able to advertise your software to the market, they are able to sell it to the market, and yeah, you're kind of the mini CEO of your own
Yeah.
product.
Wow. Wow. Now, how hard of a change was that for you?
Um, I mean, first of all, it's a cultural shift. So you are entering into a completely new company. It's bigger than the company you have worked for before. So before we joined Inside Software with 12 people, right? So small processes, everything worked, but of course, limited resources. So if we
Hmm.
wanted to start a new campaign, you had to decide, do we want to start with this or with that, right? So now at Inside Software, you say, go for it. Here are my ideas, do it. But of course, when migrating to a new company or being acquired, first of all, you have to run through all the integration process. It's like starting a new job. You have to learn all the processes, you have to learn all the colleagues, which is fun, right? So you meet a lot of new people, and the integration went really, really well. So after
Nice.
a few weeks, or in the first week, all the leadership came over from the US to Aachen, Germany,
Okay.
and we met there for an entire week. Yeah, we
Wow.
talked about strategy. We had social events, of course. So this was
Okay.
really, really great. 2 weeks later, we traveled then to Raleigh, North Carolina, to the headquarters of Inside Software, had the global product management meeting there, have been introduced there to other product managers. And this is also now really, really great. Inside Software has, I know, 50 products in portfolio or so. And especially when talking about write back, just to give you an example where we can participate from now is customers are asking us a lot if we can write back to SAP tables directly.
Okay.
And my answer in the past was hell no.
Right?
Right? I won't do that. I don't have the capabilities and also not capacities to implement this stuff. Yeah, you
Right.
can hire an entire new team. And this team is already there at Inside Software. It's called Source Connect, right? So they are specialized into write back into SAP. I don't say that we have implemented already into Write Planner, but it could be something that's on our roadmap. So where we are now combining different products on our platform so that we can offer more and more capabilities overall to also make the Click platform at the end more powerful for our joint customers.
Nice. And Emil, if you're watching, I would probably be reaching out and seeing how we can connect to that stuff through ClickUp automation. Just saying. Um,
Yeah.
so I would imagine that one of the things that might have been the hardest was for you to let go of the code. Was it hard, like taking your baby that you had worked
Yeah.
so many years on and like, please take care of my baby and don't break it?
Right. So the first thing that I learned here is when you get new position and more responsibility, then you have to trust into people and you
Hmm.
have to let go for some things, right? It works really, really well. Of course, I'm still an advisor for Fiplana in general. It's still my baby. I started writing the first lines of code. It grew up. Thankfully, I'm not writing the source code anymore. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a working software solution, I would guess. So there are experts, and I completely trust into them. But
Nice.
I would say it's all about enabling people, right?
Yeah,
You just don't have to say, "Hey, this is now your new product from today. I don't care how it runs." You
yeah,
have to give it them part by part.
yeah. I tell you, I love coding, and I've shared on LinkedIn and other things multiple times. At the end of the day, solving a problem and writing code
Yeah,
is what I love more than anything. I like debugging, I like solving a problem, but there are sure times that all I need to do is get past the hurdle that's in my head. And then I know now it's just a matter of implementation, right? Now I
yeah,
just got to write
right.
a whole bunch of lines of code, document a whole bunch of lines of code, but I know that part's going to work. And I sure would be like, man, now I can solve the problem that's the big one in my head and move on. And I go to the
Yeah,
next problem.
right.
Um, Now,
So what
how
I
do
still
you
do is
find
when
how do you balance what you're doing now with, okay, now I want to do this. Now we should do this. Now we should do this. And then the developer's like, whoa, 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 we got to do these in steps. And you're like, no, get them all done.
yeah. Yes, I think this is the overall problem between product managers and engineering. And also you have to find some kind of middle between waterfall and agile,
Hmm.
right? And at the end, it's like, let's call it a triage. There are lots of feature requests that coming in from customers, lots of feedback, a lot of ideation going on. On the other end, of course, you have to support your product, fixing bugs, security issues, and so, and have all this maintenance. So you have to prioritize. And here it's really, really important to stick to your message, to
Yeah.
stick to your strategy. Um, we plan here for the entire new next year, right? So we already know what will happen next year. What
Okay.
will so, of course, if there are some big environmental changes, we will also apply our strategy to it. But where we are really flexible is in this sort of things. Of course, we already have an idea what happens first, what's in Q1, Q2, and so on. But here also, we are talking a lot to customers, hearing their feedback. And if we see feature A from Q4 is expected to be ready right now, then we put it in our roadmap for the next sprints.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Was it tough to adjust to having multiple people that could do things and like you'd see these requests like, okay, well, I can only really handle two of these, and then adjusting to, oh, wait a second, two of these could go to this person, and two of these could go to that person, and three of these could go to this group. Was that tough for you to figure out how much faster you might be able to move in terms of solving customer problems?
Yeah, you definitely have to learn the structure, how it works. And so, for example, in the past, we had one pre-sales consultant, right?
Hmm.
What we have now here inside software is an entire pre-sales team and a solution engineering team,
Wow.
right? And first of all, you have to understand the difference between pre-sales and solution engineering because before it was just one person doing
Yeah.
all the stuff, all right? But once you get through this, you can just ping the right people. And as you said, so you get a lot of mails in there, huge inbox, and a lot of messages, but you can just say, hey, okay, this is something where a partner needs support right now, give it to pre-sales. This is something where a customer wants to implement a proof of concept, give it to solution engineering. And then you also have teams, right? You have multiple people by team. So you know what their expertise is, and you can direct it directly to them to have the most valuable output.
Very cool. Very cool. Before we got started, you shared that you did have some slides, and we are absolutely going to walk through a demo, folks. So don't worry, you're going to get to see
Absolutely.
it. Seeing is always believing, seeing is always understanding, and we'll get there. But let's talk about maybe some changes you've made to the software.
Yes. So before I start sharing the slides, it's really important that to mention this again. So we joined now Inside Software. Vizlib was already there, and as I said, we are not competitors anymore. We are not competing in the right back market. What we are doing now is bringing the best of breed together, right?
Hmm.
So there's a lot of potential going on. I would say, especially when it comes to right back, we have right on our side,
Right?
and we have Vizlib collaboration on the Vizlib side. and this will be one product. Call it Vizlib, which is just an internal identifier. We will definitely have another name,
Okay.
but both products, they bring kind of, let's say, 80-90% of feature parity. So they do
Right.
nearly the same, but there are those nuances where each product is better than the other one in
Yep.
both directions, right? And what we are finally are able to do now is to eliminate the bad things and have the best write back product here on the market.
Nice.
On the other hand, we also have not just one developer team. We have now 3 developer teams that are joined together working
Okay.
on the one product vision. So that's really, really cool. A lot of stuff going on, many capacities that we have now for our plans, and this will be really great.
That must be nice, even in your role then. Like before, sometimes you'd have to be reactive to what that competitor did,
Yeah,
and it might not have been on your normal roadmap, but they seem to be gaining traction with this, now the right back solution gives massages too. And you're like, oh
exactly.
shoot, now we got to do massages in our code,
Yeah,
even though that might not have been our direction. So that probably was a good feeling to not have to be reactive, or
exactly.
spend time in customer conversations. Well, how do you compete with them?
Yeah.
You just eliminate that conversation now. That's must be a positive change.
And this was also something that went really, really great here at Inside Software. So it was not that 2 rivals came into one room, right, and had a big fight. It was just like meeting friends. So um, everything went really, really smooth. So
Very
everybody
cool.
was on the same line. Teams started sharing code, started sharing ideas, and look, hey, we want also to have the click native filter panel in our component. How did you do this? Yeah, let's have a look. I can show it to you, right? So it was really, really great. This was
Nice.
worked nice.
Nice. Nice.
Okay. Um, so what I bring in here today is couple of slides. I think you can see them now, right?
I can't see them yet. Nope, you need to share.
Ah, okay. Not using Zoom that often.
That's okay. There we go.
All right. Just 3 slides, because I think today we are mostly talking about the new product, Fiplana PRO, and it's important to understand what Fiplana PRO is and what's the story and idea behind how we are going there. So when we are talking about write back and planning in general, we differentiate in 3 different levels.
Okay.
So most of all, if you are talking to a click customer, and now this may be a little sales focus for level 1, and the customer says, hey, great product, but I don't have any need for write back or planning proposals. I'm completely fine with click as it is. Where how we could land in the past was asking the question, hey, but did you ever have the need to add a comment to your data, right?
Yeah.
So like, why did I win a lead? Why did I lose a customer? How do I justify that my sales prognose goes up by 200% for next year? So it's just like adding more context to your data, start making this dashboard interactive. And this is what we call level 1, where it's all about commenting, data entry, having really, really simple use cases given with write back capabilities inside of your Click dashboard.
And that probably is it's a tough conversation to have because it's hard to explain to people.
Yeah,
The people that were already using Click were consuming data, visualizing data,
right.
and all they did to do those things, they did them already. They just left analytics to go into some other system,
Yes.
start all over, find records, do data entry, then stop doing data entry, come back to their analytics and get their next insight. And that starting and stopping and spinning up and down thought processes in your head slows
Yes.
things down. So that
I
that is a tough conversation to have. Like, oh no, 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 no. You don't just have to visualize. Like you could do things while you're analyzing the data,
absolutely.
right? And take
Yeah.
action like right now.
Yeah,
and then move on to the next insight, knowing that other people will see your insights. So that
exactly.
probably is a tough toggle to throw in the customer's head of thinking about Click as a CRM-ish type thing where they can do data entry at the same time.
Yeah,
That's a hard switch to flip. So once you've
absolutely.
switched that, flip that switch in their head, what's level two?
Yeah, and by the way, you already mentioned it kind of because my mainly used buzzword is single source of truth, right? Take your Click application, not just for analytics purposes, but do all your master data management, what you can see at the bottom level, where it's all
Mm-hmm.
about data quality, data entries, and do this in one system, the single source of truth, with it, which is Click, right? And we give you the
Nice.
capabilities to do so. So level
I'm going to
number
steal
two.
that, by the way, Thomas.
No worries. Level number two is what we call smart data entry.
Okay.
So once the customers see the benefits of changing data, commenting data, they evolve their use cases mostly on their own, or you have the potential to even upsell, cross-sell them, give them new ideas, and they start getting rid of those third-party tools. Like in most cases, it's an Excel file, right?
Right.
Where you can just maintain your data, do changes, but this is just error prone. What you can do in Excel, of course, you have lots of flexibilities in there,
Yep.
but what you cannot do is you cannot see who changed the data. You cannot see what's the
Nope.
version, what's the history of it. Also, there can be some errors like by mistake, you just switched some cells or even columns, you deleted a formula or whatever can happen. And this can, I mean, the Excel part can be implemented with right capabilities in Click, but what you can enhance now also is using all the additional technology that we have in there, like live technology, like
Yep.
conditions, where it's all about like validating inputs, conditional show height or conditional edit mode, where you can decide by a click formula if you don't are currently allowed to enter and edit the cell or not, right? So this is what we call smart data and reuse all those capabilities to start implementing your business applications.
Nice. And I like I always love when people say use the click expression. Um, that
100%
ability,
click native,
you get
always.
comfortable with the click script and the hundreds and myriads of functions that we have, and you already
Yes,
know those things. Being able to reuse those expressions and variables and stuff like that. That's a neat thing to do rather than forcing customers to learn a new language or something.
absolutely. That's also, again, single source of truth. If you do your planning in a CPM standalone tool, then you have to learn this language. And then also, you have to implement your data model twice, once for the
Yep.
CPM FP&A tool, once for your analytics tool, right?
Yep.
So double cost, double effort, and even hard to maintain to
Yeah.
keep the logic synced here. Yes, what I always say, if you are an experienced Click developer, you know how to write script, you know how to write dashboards, then you are enabled in a one-day training with all the capabilities and you're ready to go to implement right back and planning use cases on their own.
Very cool. Very cool.
So next level is then seeing all the capabilities that we bring with Write and Fiplana and start building your own solutions. And solutions can be on different facets. In general, we are talking about CPM, FP&A solutions. So the planning solutions on their own, where it's all about the financial planning, corporate performance management, where you can also start building ESG solutions for data input. And of course, you can also use then all the capabilities to managing your Click platform. I think
Yep.
you also had this Dork Cast with Henry Ruffin, where he talked about how he controls the platform at Radial with capabilities of write back.
Yep.
And we also have implemented such things in our applications. You can also use it for Click platform management. For example, if you want to move from ClickSense on-prem to Click Cloud, then you can use write back capabilities to orchestrate and manage all this environmental stuff.
Nice. The line there that I want to talk about, it's kind of dorky. It's the sex and access. One of the trickiest things I had to help a customer with one time was security for financial data.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was familiar with the fact that click section access could handle rows. I was like, oh, well, Dalton gets access to these rows of data. Thomas gets access to these
Right.
rows of data. And he says, oh, but I need to hide some of this for Dalton, but I need to let Dalton see other columns of data. Like, oh, well,
Yeah.
yeah, we can hide columns. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, no, 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 no. I need to see the columns for rows 1 to 10. He's allowed to see
Yeah.
Thomas's rows of data, just not those columns. Um, and so I learned because of that customer need how incredible click section access is, that it's not just rows or columns. It
Yes,
can be the combinations of rows and columns,
absolutely.
so that as a manager, I could see who your other employees are, so that I might see how many people Thomas's group is getting things done with, or what their job codes are, but I can't see their salaries.
Yeah,
I could only
right.
see salaries for the people that work for me.
And the pain
So yeah,
point
I
in
would
here is
imagine this is a huge part of your a top level security system.
absolutely. So we have different security concepts in the application that we will see today.
Cool.
And section access is also that use case that we will implement to this application in the next version.
Nice.
Um, I mean, section access is a really great tool, and every customer is asking for it, especially when you're talking about write back. It's just what you said. They are
Yep.
asking, okay, but let's say we have a sales planning by region, and then the managers want to see that the sales reps can only see their own regions and also plan on their
Mm-hmm.
own regions. This
Mm-hmm.
can be achieved by section access management. But
Yep.
how do you actually manage section access? It's in most cases in the inline script, in the click application, or sometimes also in an Excel file, a couple of times in a database which is managed at enterprise customers. But there here starts the process again. So you want to apply your section access rules.
Yep.
So you look for this Excel file, or you go all the way where you have to duplicate this click application, go into the inline script, adjust your line. Then you have to publish it again, trigger a reload, and
Right.
then it's pushed back to the user. Section access management, do all the stuff directly in the front end in the dashboard of Click by using write. Set some checkboxes, like Dalton has now also access to region North, right?
Yep.
Click on save, and then it's fully automatically deployed into your session without any manual job.
Yep. That was the thing I remember plainly from that conversation I had with Henri. Like,
Yes.
just blew my mind that,
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
it blew my mind what he was doing. Like, it was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So very
So this
cool
is
to
what we
see.
call solutions, right?
Yep.
And those solutions on level 3 are mainly self-built. So self-built in the manner of the customer does it on their own or by professional services. And now we are talking about the next step, which is where we are currently focusing on here at Inside Software, XP&A solutions. So this means XP&A stands for Extended Planning and Analytics.
Wow.
And what happens here is it's the next step from FP&A to XP&A.
Right.
And what happens here is that financial planning gets extended by strategic and operational planning.
Okay.
It's not just that finance is telling you how you have to operate next year or what kind of goals you have to achieve. It's
Right.
also business planning from kind of top down and bottom up and telling
Okay.
from a strategic and operational perspective how they want to get there.
Wow.
And this is like, as we see it here on the next line, a cross-departmental collaboration. So we bring in all those different departments that you have within your company.
Right.
Finance says you must have $5 million of new business next year. And then marketing comes and says, okay, therefore we need, I don't know, 5,000 new leads. Therefore, we need an investment of $1 million. And those leads go over to sales, and sales says, okay, our average sales price is 10,000 or so, right? And this is what happens in there.
Yep.
And you bring all the stuff together and can then evaluate and analyze directly in Click.
Yeah.
Again, single source of truth. And of course, so the product is called Fiplana PRO, and it's a combination of Fiplana components and Vizlib components. So here we bring in all the visualizations that make sense for the financial planning and
Okay.
extended planning part, like Vizlib Finance especially. That's the main part for financial reporting. We will bring in teamwork and have all this collaborative stuff in there. And the main purpose here is to give predefined applications to the customers so that they are ready to go and start with their planning process on the fly.
So it's not
And
just a tool that you sell them that they implement. It's not a policy or slideware.
yes,
They install it and they get started.
right. And maybe to highlight some of the differences, what we can see here. So until now, we've always been selling toolkits. So toolkits have been right, Fiplana, Vizlib. So you have this big box of Lego bricks where you can start putting things together and build your house or your Formula One car on your own, right? So
Nice.
what's happening here from Emotion is you buy the technology, but you have to help yourself build all your dashboards on your own. So a lot of BI developer skills are required in here.
Yep.
Of course, you have some lower license cost here, but higher total cost of ownership. What we mean in here is you have to start from scratch. You start with a blank sheet. So you need to
Yep.
invest a lot of time, start building it, pay for professional services. So the ROI, the return on investment, is slower because it takes longer to deploy. When we are talking about solution offerings, and I think this is also a buzzword for you internally at Click, is that the customer does not buy the Lego bricks itself. He or she buys the pre-built Formula One car or the
Right.
pre-built house where they only have to move their furniture into and they are ready to go, right? So they can just move in, and it's not a help yourself, it's a deploy yourself with a completely no code or low code approach. So you don't have any I developer skills required. And of course, the solution itself has a little higher license cost.
Right.
We need to ask for some extra money because we take the effort for the customers to build those solutions. But
Right.
on the other hand, you will see it's not that expensive instead of starting from scratch on your own. So you have
Right.
really low total cost of ownership. Instead of building an application in 100 days on your own, it just takes you 2 to 5 days to apply your data into the data model. That's it. So quick return on investment here.
And the nice thing is you're not just getting, if I were to build my solution, I've got the ideas of myself in my head,
Yes,
my customer. If I'm using your solution, you've got a bunch of customers talking to you, giving
right.
you genius ideas to get you to the next level.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden, the engine inside of my Formula One car has just been upgraded to a 16 cylinder instead of a 12 cylinder.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the point. So if you want to plan on, I don't know, 6 dimensions for a sales plan, that's fine because we predefined 8 or so. If you want to go with 10, okay, then you have to ask for some professional service to extend it by 2 more dimensions if it really is a must for you, right?
Right.
So just to give you an example,
Yeah.
but you name it. Of course, it's really, really hard to match exactly this one perfect solution to all customer needs. So that's not working, right? Everybody
Yeah.
of us knows it. If you're looking for a car and you see a black car, it's probably the right setting you are looking for, but you wanted to have the car in white,
Yes.
right? Um, but of course, we are talking to a lot of customers. We see all the use cases, we see all the requirements, we are in the projects, and this is our playbook to build our applications.
Very cool. Very cool.
So this is the last slide for now. I think it summarized what I've told you right now. What we will see today is this application here. It's integrated business application, a business planning application.
Okay.
So it's our solution starter point where we showcase for with this application what kind of capabilities do we have. We have sales planning capabilities, cost planning, personnel, security concepts, workflow, and so on and so forth. And then what we are currently also doing is building all this predefined and specialized solutions. So one solution specialized for sales planning, one solution specialized for asset planning, one for cash flow, one for cost, and so on and so forth. So we are currently building this big suite of solutions of predefined applications that
Hmm.
we will deliver to the market then.
Very cool. Very cool. And I love that you keep reinforcing that single source of truth idea. That's I've always said that data warehouses and data marts, as much as I believe in them, aren't a single source of truth. They're a single source of zeros and ones.
Mm.
That your application that has all the metadata with formulas of how you tie and how you should sum up, because we never in the business world just sum column one and count column five.
Right.
There's always if it's the fourth Tuesday of the month and the category code is this and it's not Bob doing it, then we count that row. That's a legit row.
Exactly.
Yeah, those kind of things. But
Yeah.
this is really it's really triggering with me the fact that even then, it's not the source of truth if I've got a whole bunch of post-it notes written down with my ideas that
Yeah.
nobody else gets to see.
Right.
Or if Sally has her own ideas and I've got mine and we never talk to each other. So
Right.
yeah, that's really my head's still spinning with that idea. And when I
It's all
share
about
this post,
collaboration.
this is how I'm gonna talk about it for sure.
Yeah, that's great. Yes, it's all about collaboration, bringing the people together.
Hmm.
So what we have here is our second version of Fiplana Pro. And by the way, this might also be here of interest. Fiplana Pro is currently in the early adapter program.
Okay.
So we are already talking to our high valued partners, of course, because we have a huge focus on partner network.
Yep.
And I think combined we have more than 120 partners worldwide, meanwhile, for Vizlib
Wow.
and Fiplana. It's a big number, huge
That's
number.
awesome. Yeah. And so
And
what I'm seeing here though, Thomas, is Dalton got to see Fiplana. You already released the Fiplana Pro. I never even got to see. Now I'm already getting to see version two. I love it. I'm
yes,
on the leading
exactly.
edge right now.
It's
I'm on
version
the
number
leading
two.
edge.
And our plan is to go live on GA with our product on January 15th. So look out for this date. Something great is happening then.
Nice, nice. Something to look forward to in the new year.
Absolutely. Um, so what we see here, and version number two is this version of this application. So there's a lot of effort put in there. Our SEs and PMs are working heavily on it. So
Okay.
every kind of 2 weeks we have a new version. And what we see here is simple welcome screen. And what we see, and this might also be inspired by Henry. So I talk a lot with him. You saw his applications, and it's not a click dashboard anymore. It's a business application,
Yeah.
right? So now we have all the capabilities with all the advantages that Click brings in. Then taking all the capabilities that we have with Fiplana and Vizlib and build this amazing stuff in here.
What
So
a concept. Just that word homepage
yeah,
transitions the thought process for me, and I imagine for users as well, right? This isn't my dashboard page or sheet one. It's my
right,
home page. I love it.
exactly. This is your starting point. Hi, Thomas. Your count plan is
Yep.
test one. The completeness of this plan is this. These are your positions.
Yep.
What we will add then is also, these are your new tasks. You have been set as an approver for those items,
Yeah.
right? So it's really a business application that we are currently building.
Yep.
And of course, we benefit from all the capabilities Click already brings in there. Here I'm currently showcasing this on an on-prem, so Click Enterprise server.
Okay.
But of course, when we take this on Quick Cloud, we are adding alerting, we are adding application automation. So shout out to Emil again. We
Yeah.
are adding ML. All this stuff is put in there, right? And
Very
this is
cool.
also, again, the benefit of adding a planning platform on top of BI. You
Yeah.
already have all the capabilities there. You don't have to implement or reinvent the wheel
Right.
on your own.
Very cool. I love it.
So I always have my red path to follow through this demo. And what I like to show first is starting with the sales planning approach in here. So I can simply click on this and yeah, it's like opening a new page in your website, in your homepage, right? So it's like navigating through this application. And what we can see here is our, as I said, our sales planning dashboard. First of all, I go back to actual numbers.
Okay.
And you might remember this. This is our Fiplana component from which you have seen at the beginning of this year, but there are also some new capabilities, of course, already in there. So what you can do, for example, now is take a look at your actual data. And of course, I cannot change those data yet because we are looking at actual data. So there's a logic already implemented. If you're looking on actual data, you cannot change them. If you're looking at plan data, you can, but you can
Upfront.
also lock it. And
Nice.
these are the minor things that we are implementing in our solutions. It just takes, I don't know, a couple of hours, half a day to implement this idea here. But again, you as a customer would have to do it on your own. And the solutions already have all the stuff in there. And
Yep.
we have all those minor things that sum up to a big effort of
Yeah.
implementation. So let's create a new scenario for today's Dork Cast. And I simply create a new budget, call it Dork Cast.
There,
What
look
we
at
are
that. Look at
currently,
that. I'm world famous now.
yeah, you are.
I got a
You will be
budget
seeing
and
every
everything.
single
We're gonna
demo
make this
now.
budget huge, man.
So let's say we will double our sales.
Oh, at least.
Is
At
this fine
least.
for you, or should we go higher?
Eh, That'll be good.
All right.
I
So
get
what
my
this can
bonus if we increase it by 10%. So double up, man. I'm going to
Okay.
President's Club for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plant a seat for me, Mike Capone. Plant a seat for me.
Where are you going this year or next
I,
year?
I, I don't even know.
Something in Orlando, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so we take our actual 24 as a ground base, and we want to inherit from 24 into 25 with a
Mm,
factor of 200%. So we are
okay.
doubling our sales approach. Click on save. And now comes it. I save those data directly into a database.
Okay.
So it's sent to a database. 64 changes have been saved. We trigger
Nice.
a reload. And what you can see here then is the new scenario called Dork Cast, right? So single source of truth again. Analyze the data first, take those
Wow.
data, adjust them, edit them, click on save, and see the impacts directly and click again.
Okay. Yep.
So this data set is now ready for analytics already. You see, you planned 36 million in Germany, 6.7 in Poland,
Wow.
and so on.
I like how you've incorporated the Vizlib cards, man. Those are pretty.
Yes, yes, those are really, really fruitful. So we are adding all the components of Vizlib that make sense for our use cases.
Yeah.
Here, for example, we added Vizlib tiles, which is kind of a KPI object by dimensionality.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
here we see for every sales rep, one tile, we see the name, we can see an icon, sales amount or planned sales amount, number of customers, and then also how the sales distribution goes over the year, right?
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. It looks
And
like Becker there is one of those fourth quarter people.
yeah,
They're,
exactly.
they're
And
waiting for all the spiffs for fourth quarter to come out, and then they magically close all their opportunities for the
yeah,
year.
yeah,
I
happy
see
year
how
end
she
business.
is.
Yeah. But Dalton, what you can do as a manager now is have a look into Becca. So select her, and
Wow.
you see she has two customers, right?
Yep.
You can see the customer data already in here. So they are called Chic Couture, Head and Shoulders, and then you can also see how the predictions for product and service sales are divided. Yeah, teams coming in. Why are you coming in? not today anymore. All right. So you could simply say, of course, in February, we don't have any high values, so it's just 24,000 in total. You can simply apply the number and say, in February, you must achieve 2 million. I changed this to 2 million because we just want to see the impact here. So I
Yep.
save the value, click is reloading, showing you the results and directly here in this component. And you see, we
Wow. Yep.
finally have a year beginning sales, right?
Nice. About time she
So,
did something in the first quarter.
sorry.
I said it's about time she sold something in the first
Yeah,
quarter.
finally, right? So,
Slacker.
but still, she only has two customers, and we want her to grow. She needs to
We,
grow with a customer base to stay healthy. So you can go to new customer, click this button, and now our form component renders in here.
okay.
And what we are currently doing is creating a new data entry, a new customer for the selected plan, Dork Cast 25, for the West Becker combination. Give it an automated generated ID. So let's give it a new customer name, Dalton, for example. Product sales, what will it be? 10 million, for example. Service sales, 500K. And now comes also the fun part. We have this rich plot chart here from Vizlib because what we can do now is give it a distribution ratio, especially when you're talking about products like selling ice, right?
Yep.
Then you probably have a summer distribution curve. If you're selling winter jackets, winter clothing, you have this winter curve.
Yeah.
So what you can do here is you can also create your own distribution ratios. So let's say we go with the summer distribution. So nearly no sales in January to March
Right.
or April, then it starts. I can
Very
select the
interesting.
distribution in here,
Yep.
10 million, 500K, save it. And then we will also see customers increases from 2 to 3
Wow.
right now. We have this new customer in our filter pane, Dalton. So let's just select Dalton. And now you can see your data is applied against this curve. And of course, you can also see the real data points behind, going back to our plan component. So we planned with 10 million, 500K in total.
Yep.
And January to March has no sales. Then it starts in April, goes higher and higher with the highest peak in August, and then slows down for the winter season again.
Very neat.
Right? And these are the business cases customers are asking for. They don't
Yeah.
just want to create new values, they want to
Yep.
have it distributed based on some historical changes, based on some predefined distribution ratios. And those are all the stuff we are adding to our solutions here.
Very cool. What are the types of distributions other than seasonal? What are the other, are there other known types of distribution?
Yeah,
Like,
so the distribution types that we have in here are, I don't know, 8 or so predefined, where
okay,
you also have the exponential distribution. It starts high and then goes exponentially down.
hype
Um,
cycle.
yes, you have the normal, which is really similar to exponential. You have uniform, so an equal distribution. These are for the demo purposes, just predefined
Right.
distributions, right? What we are also adding now for the next version is that you can say, hey, for the distribution, I'd like to pick from region north and take the
Yep.
average distribution from there. I'd like to create my own distributions where you have an
Yeah.
input mask and can enter all the values from January to December, for example, to create your own.
And so those distribution ratios then you can assign based on the customer.
Yes, in this case, it's
So
based on the
as I'm doing
customer.
my due diligence, Thomas, when is it that you guys normally acquire stuff? You know, and so because each customer could be theoretically different. I need to do 4 quarters of licenses to get those things in,
Yes,
or we get all our money in January. I want to spend it all right away to make sure I spend every cent of it.
right.
Okay.
So here's on the new customer level, but so the data model is very abstract. It's talking about dimension 1 to 8 or 10 or whatever.
Yep.
And you will be capable to say, I'd like to create a new region. I'd like to create a new sales rep, a new product, a new whatever, right?
Wow.
So
Yep.
we are developing the next versions very dynamically so that you are not bound on specific use cases and have no limitations in there.
Okay.
Right.
That's a good idea.
Maybe some important features that, because most of the customers we are talking about when they are looking for a new planning tool are already a Click customer and they still plan in Excel. We also
Yep.
see customers who want to go away from the big CPM vendors because the analytics part is too lightweight and the planning part is too weighted.
Yep.
But especially when the customers come from Excel, they are looking for something better than Excel, but it must be the same like Excel, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the main pain point. And in Excel, for example, you have the capability to add as many columns as you want to build all this big spreadsheets, adding comparison columns, for example.
Yep.
And what you can do here is I'm currently on Dork Cast, but I want to compare against the actual data of the last year. So I select this as a comparison. And here you can
Wow.
already see I have Dork Cast here. I have actuals besides it. Let's remove Becker
Yeah.
also.
Do
So
that,
that we have all
Excel.
data. Yeah, and then you can also calculate the delta. So we, in general, what we see here is a pivot table. But
Yep.
inside of this pivot table, you can define single columns with click set analysis
Yeah.
and have all your comparison columns in here. Those
Wow.
columns are predefined. We call them
Yep.
public columns,
Okay.
predefined by the developer. But you can simply go on comparison columns.
Oh my
And
gosh.
what I see here is that I didn't clean up my environment after the last demo. So what you can also do when I duplicate the sheet and set one property right, give me a second. Nope, this one.
Nice.
Okay, it's
Not many
published.
times people get to see how the sausage is made.
Yeah, exactly. So what you can do, maybe, no, it's not here implemented. It's a publish application. I can change it. But what you can also do is go on this button and define your private columns. And here you also have
Okay.
an approach which is really, really simple, where a user can simply say, I always have actual 2023 in my column, or they can also go with the advanced mode and enter a click formula in here to manage their columns. What you can also
Okay.
do, say, I'm not interested in the delta, so I want to hide it, click on save, and now you only have the two columns that are of interest for
And when
your
you see
use
they can
case.
enter a click formula, will you show them like master items so that the coder could have written the set analysis and then the end user just taps, hey, this is the one I
Yeah.
want. Okay.
On the roadmap for this feature to be extended, right now they can enter any kind of click formula on their own, right?
Gotcha.
But master items are on the list for us as well. Yes.
That would be to me that, yeah, to me that you need that one in there.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
can call it the dork feature.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Because for big changes, when I was a Click customer, I was in Click View. Yay, Click View. Still out there, still proud of Click View. For those of you still using Click View, good for you. It's a wonderful tool. The thing that I had as the problem for trying to drive adoption was that end users
Yeah.
could create bar charts. They could get that pretty easily because they did those types of things in Excel, right? It was they didn't know how to do dollar sign expansion or they couldn't do formulas.
Yes.
And when ClickSense came out, man, I jumped head first because that ability for me to create those master items that others could then use and not have to be coders anymore, that was a lights out difference between ClickSense and ClickView.
Right. Yeah.
All righty, my friend. My side tracks of section access and set analysis and master items. Let's get back to the cool features here.
Yeah, so when you mentioned section access and especially your use case, what we have here also as a feature is that you can lock entire rows, right? Click on this icon in here, and now this row here is locked. It's mainly used for data entry purposes, so I cannot change this values anymore. It's like a process feature where you can say priority closing, product sales is done. I'm finished with my values. I can still change service sales, like change your
Okay.
value to 100K in here. And you can also still do top-down operations, 200K, but the value here stays
Stays
fixed.
the same.
But
So now is that
what
locked for me so that I don't screw it up, or is it locked for everybody else that would be coming into the
Right. So now we come to the fun part. Right now, it's just locked for you. It's not saved yet, right? As soon as I
Okay.
save it,
Because nobody
it's
else is
locked
going to
for,
see it anyway. All right.
yeah, it's locked for everybody now, since we
Okay.
saved it and this is in a data model. But what you can do now is, for example, coming back to your use case. So let me expand this, is we have several regions like East, North, South, West. And you could say, for example, that you are allowed to see region East, but it's
Yep.
completely locked for you. You cannot change it. You're just allowed to operate on North, for example. And for me, exactly vice versa. So this is also what this feature can be used. And you could also go into the property panel again and say, who's really capable to do all those changes? Who's
Holy
even
cow.
allowed to click on this
Yep.
button, right? So we have on various features, we have different security concepts, which are just like minor features like now, but they are highly mandatory to the business cases. To give you
That
another
I gotta tell
example,
you, Thomas, being able to click that circle versus write a whole bunch of code is a toss up for me, but I might lean towards just clicking a circle.
yeah,
Take the easy way out.
right. And it's just like defining a feature request. I want to have a button. Okay, it takes us 20 days of implementation.
Yeah, yeah, that would
Right.
be
Yeah.
awesome, right?
Yeah.
We're
So
lazy,
what you might
folks.
have
We're
mentioned
lazy.
here, when I created a new budget name, for example, this is now I'm talking about data quality. I am able to write as a free text field.
Okay.
So let's assume you as a manager created this new budget. You named it Dork Cast, and exactly as it is written in here. And
Right.
now you want your employees to book on this budget or to create a cost plan and match it against sales, because at the end of the day, you want to have a P&L plan.
Okay.
So on the next sheet, we have cost planning implemented. And first of all, we will see nothing because, or just one line, because we don't have created a plan for Doorcast yet.
Right.
So here I go back to actuals. And from actuals, I want to inherit the data and put it onto Doorcast. So
Okay.
same process again, new budget. And the difference in here is now the new budget name is not a free text field anymore. It's now a drop down, right? So
Right.
because you want to avoid that your users write Dorkcast the wrong way and create just a big mess of data in here.
Yep.
So in this case, I can decide Dalton is always allowed to operate with a free text and create new budgets, but Thomas is only allowed to book against existing budgets to avoid this big mess of data that
Right. Okay.
can appear. So click
Yep.
on it, right? It's a minor feature, but it's very, very valuable for the health of the data for the customers. Save it here. Costs have been created. I can do all my stuff again, do top-down entries, bottom-up entries, or I should work with negative values in here because we are talking about costs. Save it to a database. And what happens now is we are matching the cost data against the plan data, and you can go into the scenario insights now. And for example, where was it? Sorry, wrong button. Go into here,
You're
into
just
the
showing
plan
off cool
comparison.
visuals now.
Yes. So what we have here is Vizlib Finance. Vizlib
Nice.
Finance
Yep.
is highly specialized in visualizing finance reports like P&Ls, balance sheets, and here you can already see it, right? So
Yeah.
again, you can also compare actuals against Dorkcast, and it it completely reacts then on your selection if it would work in this case. Um, so why are you not reacting? Okay, maybe a rendering bug or so. Um, and this is where all your analysis can start. I still have actuals selected. That's the issue.
There we go.
Dalton, you should tell me how click works actually.
Hey, that's the beauty, sometimes people complain that door casts are long, and it's like, I want you to see the real world. Like, I'm not trying to show you, we're not trying to do marketing stuff. I want
Yeah,
people to understand, hey, sometimes you got to figure it out. So
right,
you still just had actuals figured out. So now we
exactly,
can see those comparisons.
right.
Very cool. Very cool.
Here, benefit from all this financial analytics stuff. See it here, like actual data for sales, for OPEX, for personnel costs. What's the net income compared for Dork Cast? Also go into the scenario insights where you can run all the stuff, compare the total net sales with the net income, do all the analytics stuff that Click offers you, right? Compare actuals against Dorkcast, see where the differences are, where they run against where you expect higher peaks in your plan. And then it's all about what we also add in the new versions, collaboration, giving the users the ability to add commentary to the data points. Why do I expect that the curve goes up here? Because in the actuals, it went down, right? So what's the reason in here that we expect more growth of business in August for this scenario?
Okay.
Um, on top of it, we also have implemented some personnel planning, looking at actual data, I think for 2023. That's the right selection, probably. Yeah. So
Okay.
in this component, what you can see on the left-hand side
Wow.
is it's sorted by group and then cost type. So here we have all our departments, all of our business departments, C-level, finance, controlling, accounting, and so on. And then here we can see by year-month combination the number of FTEs that we have in this department, or also in different management levels. We see the average sales price and the total cost. Same procedure again, create a new budget and map it against Dalton, Dorkcast,
Yep.
save, save it to database, and then I also want to operate on it. So data is already here, right? Now it's not an empty table anymore. Now it's filled with the data that I have just created. And here
Nice.
you also have several um, 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 uh, possibilities to enter data, like changing the FTEs. I need 3 assistants in January, and this will cost you 10.5K. But I only have budget for 8K, for example. Okay, for 8K, you can afford 2.3 assistants, right? Yeah, that is where the simulation starts
I
and all
need
the planning
interns. I
process
need
starts.
interns.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Last but not least, so we talked about it in before, where it's all about adding workflows, adding security concepts.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
when I go to workflows, what we have done so far is we created a Dorkcast scenario. We have product sales, we have different type of costs, personnel costs. What you can do now is send data from A to B for approval. Yeah, have a workflow. Of course, right now we are looking at the demo. It's just 2 tables. But what
Yep.
happens here? I have one submit for approval table, which is completely filled. I have one approved table, which is completely empty. I can
Yep.
say product sales is submitted now. I'm done with my plan. This is submitted. I give it a rating. I give it here a rating, add comments, save it. What happens now is this data moves from this table
Yep.
down to this table, right? It disappeared here, it appeared here. And in the real world, this would be at least 2 different sheets, click
Yep.
sheets, or 2 different click applications. We want to send the message with our demo application in here. Hey, doesn't matter if you're looking for sales planning, personnel planning, cost planning, scenario analysis, forecasting, budgeting, workflow, security concept. We put it and press it all in here in one application, and
Yeah.
then we will help you and build your platform, right? Your single
Yeah.
source of truth platform, bringing in all the capabilities. Because Click does not care if this happens inside of one sheet, inside of one application, or inside the entire platform.
No, no. And what I love, I wanted to back up for a second. as you're clicking on some of those things to create new budgets and new plans, there's a few clicks involved. And the point is there's a few clicks involved as opposed to now we got to start a new spreadsheet. I got to share the
Yeah,
spreadsheet to hundreds of people, or I got to go put it out on some site somewhere. Those things are all happening live. Like you're creating whole new things with
right.
a couple of clicks. And man, you're saving yourself from a ton of Excel help.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
exactly.
it as I see it, it's like, oh man. And then it's like, man, there's a lot happening behind the scenes there with just a few clicks.
Yeah,
And that ability even to just, hey, these things we know we reviewed, these things are ready for approval, these other things are not.
right. And just imagine all the capabilities that you can add here on top of it. So let's say our overall goal for the company is to increase sales by 20% for next year.
Okay.
But now comes Dalton and says, I can do 200, right? Yes, absolutely, Dalton. That's the spirit. But what you could do, because you are inside of an analytics platform, is you could create some borders, right? Where you could define some alerts. So where you could say, for example, as soon as we have a peak, like 2% higher or lower than the approach 20% goal, then we want to see what's happening there. We want to have some added comments. And this is also, again, where you can use all the technology that we offer you. So, for example, you could say if the value goes higher than an expected ratio, then the user has to add at least a comment with 100 characters, for example. Otherwise,
Makes
they will
sense.
not be able to save it.
Right.
That's all the capability, all the business logic that you can add here.
Yeah. I'm happy Dalton's excited about the potential. He's got a big goal. He's got a big, hairy goal.
Yes,
He needs to explain to me how he's going to achieve that goal.
exactly.
Right. Because we can't plan that in. And then Dalton says, well, that was a bad year. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really cool. Look at this.
What do we have here? Here's our users tab. And
Okay.
first of all, you can manage the users that should have access to this application in general.
Hmm.
And here you can define the authorizations. So here's my user. We can see that I am currently defined as sales planner, cost planner, and so on. I'm a confirmer and an approver.
Okay.
Doesn't make sense. I'm not an approver anymore. Save this, go back to the workflows. And what you can see here now is what happens. I can still submit values, but I'm not allowed anymore to approve plans. So this view is now completely disabled for me. And
Very cool.
it's technically not section access that I'm managing in here, but it's the same
It's a
process.
condition.
Yeah, it's a condition in this case,
Okay.
but section access would be the same process. So what you could do is
Yep.
go into users and say, Thomas is now also allowed to see region north, save it, a reload is triggered automatically, and the new value is pushed automatically directly into the data model, right? It's the same technical process behind
Very cool. Yeah.
with just
Love it.
2 clicks.
Yep. Yeah. You're super creative, man. I love it.
Thanks, Dalton. So that's,
You
yeah,
spend a
based on
lot
the
of time
feedback.
thinking of cool features and talking to customers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have a config tab where you can also then say, I'm not interested anymore in the scenario of, I don't know, North America sales because of reasons, or I'd like to give freeze a part of the plan for Click Dork Cast. So I can save this first and say Click Dork Cast is done until June 2025 now. So I want to lock all values that have that are before. And when you go again back again to your plan and you are on Dork Cast, what you can see now is that January until June are completely blocked and locked. You
Okay.
can only enter values for July to December. And this is also really, really helpful during your planning process where you say, okay, folks, until the end of next week, you need to be done with H1. And then you have
Yep.
1 more month to plan H2. And I don't care what happened in H1. If we want to achieve 100 million in total, then it's spread just over the open months. And you have to look that their year-end business will run like this to match our goals.
I like that. And I like the idea of freezing in general because I
Yeah.
know so many companies do, here's our actuals against our plan. And my bonus is based on that. So I keep doing my planning until 3 days before I close that year.
Right.
Then I make sure I hit my bonus. Right. I like the idea of it being
Yeah.
frozen so that if we're going to compare against a plan, we can't keep adjusting the plan until the last second.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's right.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's basically it. So to sum this up again, Fiplana PRO, it's the idea of delivering solutions to the market, predefined content. And it's not just that we are just adding Vizlib and Fiplana and building click applications and put a higher price on it. We are
Yep.
also exclusively releasing new features only available for Fiplana PRO. So for example, right now, you have the capability to create new values, but you have to click some buttons, different component renders, where you can input your data. So the workflow is already
Oh,
there and it works really, really nice. But we will bring all those capabilities, which will improve the user experience directly into the plan components, right?
okay.
Yeah.
Dang.
So a lot of stuff going on there here at the moment. We are combining features already that Vizlib has, we don't have yet. So I'm talking not about two different products. I talk about the extensions because here at Inside Software, we are one team, one product, and now we are combining the best of best together
Now,
to
are there
bring this
times
to the
like
market.
you're incorporating Vizlib here clearly? Are there times that your customers have specific needs for finance and planning and comparisons that you might be providing feedback to the visualization team of saying, we need, in order to do this, we need
Yes.
a new extension to do that?
Absolutely. And this is also coming back to the very early beginning of our talk. It's now following the strategy, right? It's not just building things because they are possible. Like, hey, Dalton, do you want to have a three-dimensional pie chart? Because we technically could, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
now also taking or talking to customers, taking ideas. So what's really needed when it comes to financial planning?
Yep.
What's really needed when it comes to XP&A, where it's all about collaboration. And we have some new visuals in our pipeline for next year that are focusing exactly on solving those use cases.
It looked that bar chart that you showed looked interesting because I hadn't seen that bar chart before, where you had the comparison bars and one was like overlaid on top of the other.
Yes, I think it
That
was
that
here,
looked
right?
that
Yeah,
was that looked new to me.
yeah.
I hadn't seen that kind of thing before. So yeah, so I guessed right. That was new.
So what's missing here is 3D and shadowing,
Yeah,
right? No, just kidding. But yeah, so here you can use all the Vizlib capabilities that we have and start
yep,
building these charts on your own.
nice. Yeah, but I could imagine that would have come from a finance team. Like, hey,
Yeah,
I don't want the bars to be separate. I don't want to waste a whole lot of space. I've got to fit 12 months in. Like,
right, right,
and I can't have 24 bars and then 24 bars for the income too.
exactly.
Very cool. Very cool.
Thanks,
All right.
Dalton.
All right. Well, how about you stop sharing and we'll just talk about
Yes,
we've talked about changes in your life personally. We talked about big changes to Fiplana from Fiplana to Fiplana Pro and incorporating Vizlib and what their extensions are. Man, what's planned for the future? Like where are you going in the future now?
you mean me personally or
Both.
both? Yeah. Um, yeah, so that's a really great question. And I think we are having this strategic focus on XP&A first of all, which we are
Okay.
currently launching, right? So we have to see how this goes. We already got really, really good feedback from our partners and customers. But of course, I think I mentioned this before, we want to collaborate internally and bring the products together, have this, we call it here at Inside Software, the platform, where we add more and more capabilities and then extend the Click platform by our products.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned on one of the slides you showed like generative AI. How do you plan to use generative AI with financial planning? That's a
Yeah, that's also a really good question. Um, I think there are several ideas. It's also interesting to talk about Click Answers here. I think the focus of Click Answers is at this point not yet to also analyze financial data, but this is what Gen AI could do, and what we are
mhm.
also here implementing at Inside Software in general, not just for the Click offering, so that you can get immediate feedback on your data entry, like adding 200% on sales, decreasing marketing cost by 70%, and
Okay.
then get immediate feedback, hey, it doesn't make sense, stuff like this, right? So that
Right.
Gen AI starts understanding the context. But it's not just for the end users. Since we are talking about self-service in general everywhere, self-service BI, we are also talking about self-service planning. It's also guiding you to to build your dashboards, your application, your solutions on your own with Gen AI. I have seen this capability on the Click AI tour. I think it's implemented in Talent. I don't know how this feature is called, but where you can say, hey, load some material numbers from SAP, right? And you
Mhm.
just give this prompt and it creates the SQL load script for you. This is where the direction can also go into, that also talking about the high-end self-service approach, giving you the capability to build your applications with the support of Gen AI.
Okay. So the idea of so kind of like a bot type thing. Hey, I need a new budget plan for this, and I want it
Yeah,
to be 200%, and I want to increase our head count by 3%, and I want to increase
yeah,
cost of head count by X%, and
exactly.
then bam,
Yeah.
just just magic.
Yeah, yeah, magic is happening. But I mean, that's also could be part for a completely different webinar or Dork Cast, because you cannot survive without having AI in your portfolio today, right?
At least calling it AI.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have to go to a customer, but if you don't say AI just once in the sales pitch, you are out, right? So that's that's how it goes. Um, and it has to make sense. And I think you need to find the right transition, how this can be embedded into your products and also
Yeah.
into your story. You have implemented several approaches with ChatGPT in the early beginning, where you
Yep.
added it to your dashboards. I think the hardest part in here, and this is where Click Answers probably goes, is to make the Gen AI understand your data, right? And also the
Um,
context of the data.
Absolutely. And that's yeah, I'm a big believer. I've shared a video before of my thoughts for journey to generative AI, where because I was asked in the early days, by customers, well, my CEO just wants to say, how are we doing?
Yeah,
Right? That's the expectation. And I was like, okay, if he says, how are we doing? Does he expect to get the same answer as some vice president does? And does that vice
absolutely
president
not.
expect the same answer as a manager
Yeah,
does? And as of a data dork does? No,
yeah.
right? That we expect contextually aware questions and answers. And the great thing about implementing generative AI and passing it the data on the fly in an aggregated form, because that can be done within Sense, because we know who the user is. We know what their role is from some AD structures. And then we can say, hey, when the CEO asks, this data he should only see like 5 dimensions, which are the company's KPIs
Yes.
at global level, because he's not smart enough to analyze it down at a salesperson level, right? Like
Yeah.
let's screen all that from him, right? Or let's give him one level of regions or something so that he knows who he can pick up the phone and call, right? But the person at that regional level, he may need to see things globally. He needs to see a region, but he also needs to know his plans,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. Cannot agree
Um,
more. Yeah.
so yeah, absolutely. There needs to be a difference. One of the things that I demonstrate when we talk, and my boss loves to ask these types of questions as well. are things where, yes, it could potentially hallucinate. I need to increase my budget. I, I need to increase my sales by 200%, but I'm limited and I can only increase my budget 50%. What are some suggestions that I might do,
Yeah.
right, to help me?
Right.
Absolutely, it could hallucinate, right? But the goal sometimes with generative AI isn't I'm looking for an answer. It's I'm trying to have a conversation, right? It's no different than if I peeked my head over the cube and I said, "Hey, Thomas, man, in your experiences, what were some clever things that your company did to increase sales and yet not bump their budget up a whole lot?"
Yeah.
Right. And you give me ideas. I'm like, dude, that's the craziest thing I ever heard. No, we're not having brownie bake Tuesdays. That's not how I'm going to count on making more money. Right. Or, wow, that's a genius idea. I could see. And we continue to have a conversation. So, yeah, I could see lots of ways
Yeah.
that bot wise, it could automate things for me. Um, and make sure that all of the pieces got done, right?
Right.
And that could be, you could do that in a number of ways with some small fine tuning type things where you take a really small language model, not a large language model.
Right.
You fine tune a few things for your specific generational needs because you're just generating data at that point, and then
Yeah.
bam, you add it in.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I could see how you could do questions and answers of, hey, I want to do this, but I can't do that. Um, what are some other ways I could get work done that's for free? Because I
Yeah.
can't add
Exactly. That's the
headcount,
point, right?
right? I've only got three
Yeah.
more cubes left in the building.
Yeah.
I can't hire 10. Like,
Coming
what
back to
else
the
can I
2 hour
do?
workday and just writing prompts. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And so yeah, there's a lot of ways that I could see that you could combine that stuff. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So, and how about the auto ML stuff? So you mentioned you want to incorporate auto ML because you want to be able to generate predictive models and um,
Yeah,
financial
we are
plans going
currently
forward.
evaluating this. We also see researchers from Bark, especially where it comes also to predictive forecasting.
Okay. Yep.
We are talking with some customers to see if there's really a need, but this could be AutoML could be used for the predictive forecasting, um, and also detect anomalies in your predictions, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there we are currently detecting the use cases. I cannot tell you some specifics yet, but in general, the message that I meant at the beginning is that you have all the capabilities given by the Click Cloud platform,
Yep.
all the additions, and they are really, really useful to combine to implement their solutions, like
Nice.
the alerting stuff. You don't have to go into the Click dashboard on your own. You can also have an email sent to you, right?
Nice. And the neat thing is because you were saving the data and doing
Yeah,
reloads, and those alerts are triggered on reloads. So I could get alerted, hey, Thomas just assigned this thing
that's
to
the
be
point.
approved.
Yeah,
Right? Just like other systems do,
yeah,
where there's alerts that go out when something is being asked of me in a workflow scenario, so that you're actually grabbing data, updating something, and then reloading the app. That actually works in benefit of doing alerting. Very cool.
yeah. And actually, you can use Write again to manage all the alerting conditions, right?
Yeah, and then use the APIs to create the alerts. Oh
Right.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are all about using the tool to do everything.
Yes.
Which if you're a Click person out there and you work at Click and want to understand our product end to end, you probably should watch and see how they're doing this stuff, right? Because there's
Yeah.
partners like you that get it. And I really appreciate the fact that as partners like you and others go to the cloud and they support it, you're not just saying, well, geez, I got to do exactly what I did on-prem in the cloud. It's whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa, what can we take advantage of while we're doing it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So there will always be an on-prem version of Fiplana PRO, but the same use case implemented on cloud with all the advantages that come there.
Yeah, I love it. And That's phenomenal.
Yeah,
Can't wait to see that. So
absolutely.
we're gonna book Dorkcast 45. So I see you
Let's do
again
this.
after
Yeah,
after your extended financial planning stuff
yeah,
is out there, and we know what the next future is like for those on other universes. To
absolutely. There will be a lot of changes in number 45.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for your time and for all of these watching. I sure hope you have a great day.